for help for your food addiction and you don't know where to start? Welcome to this series, The Food Addiction Frontlines, where we uncover the expertise and services available for overcoming food addiction. I'm Dr. Vera Tarman, an addiction physician specializing in sugar and ultra-processed food addiction, here to introduce you to the professionals making a difference in this field. In each 15-minute episode, we'll meet leading experts in the field. They will share their journey, their training, and the unique services they offer for all who struggle with food addiction. So let us help you find the treatment that is best for you. Today, we speak with Bethany Mazereeuw. Welcome, Bethany.
Hi, Vera. Thanks for having me here.
All right. What inspired you to specialize in the area of food addiction?
Yeah, looking back on my whole journey, it's actually a wonder to me that I didn't get here sooner. So I have known from a long time ago that I wanted to help people, and food and eating and dieting was a part of that even way back when. So if I think back to 1995, that's when I got my degree in honors psychology, and even my thesis then was about self-esteem and dieting. And then in 1998, I got a master's of social work. And then from there, I ended up working more on food security first at the food bank of Waterloo Region, and then in public health. And then I stayed in public health for about 21 years. I became a manager, and I realized my favorite part of that job was helping people on my team to grow and develop. Even though I wasn't working under the title of social worker at that time, I was still drawn to this aspect of helping people achieve their best. Then during the pandemic, the work of public health was pretty exciting, and it was also pretty grueling. And my own workaholism really came to the forefront, and the food did too. So I'd done many diets in my life. My weight had been up and down, but at that point, I had been getting restrictive with the food. I knew a little bit about sugar addiction. I cut out the sugar, and then flour, and then grains, and then fruit, and then trace amounts of any of those things, and then even vegetables when I went carnivore. And I found that I could really do that restriction for a time. And then it didn't work for me. And when it didn't work, it really didn't work. I really get it when it comes to people's struggles with sugar addiction and emotional eating and body image issues and succumbing to diet culture pressure over and over again. I've spent decades myself trying to figure things out for me and bouncing from diet to diet, losing and gaining the weight, thinking to myself, hey, most areas of my life are going really well. How come I can't figure this out? And feeling quite defeated by that. So when I knew about sugar addiction, that was like a key unlocking something. And then started getting help with my own recovery. That was sparking something in me and wanting to use all the training and skills I had up until that point to try and help people. So in 2020, I started to put those skills and passions together and help people give up. As I acquired more knowledge and more experience, I also started helping people with the things that drive them to the sugar and to the foods, like emotions and people pleasing and boundaries and codependency, helping them really look at all of those things that are getting in the way of them living their best lives. In the spring of 2022, I left my amazing job at public health to be able to help people on a more full-time basis through coaching and therapy. I was also finding my own recovery as well. That is still a work in progress. If I'm very honest with that, it's not like I have recovered and I'm on the other side of things altogether. It's like peeling back layers of an onion for me. I'm finding out more about myself, what works for me in the food. Can I have this in this situation? Maybe. Can I do the restriction? Maybe not. My recovery, look at it like this process that is ever evolving, just like I am ever evolving.
You mentioned that you worked in public health, that you have a master's. Can you make more clear your credentials and your expertise in this field?
Sure. In addition to psychology and Masters of Social Work degrees, I have completed courses in cognitive behavioral therapy and motivational interviewing. And a few years ago, I became very interested in the overlap between recovery and the Enneagram. I'll just pause here because if there are people who aren't familiar with the Enneagram, I believe we're going to have that linked in the show notes to a podcast that I did on the Food Junkies podcast where I explained more. But basically, it's a framework for understanding yourself. It sheds light on our patterns of behavior and why we do the things we do and what we need in order to break free of those patterns of behavior. That really aligns with the recovery journey. I wanted to introduce this to people so that they could understand themselves better and support their own recovery in that way. So early in 2024, I completed a training for therapists about how to use the Enneagram in therapy. And I'm currently in the middle of taking advanced training for transformative coaching with the International Coaching Federation. I really love the ethics and the standards that this provides for both the coach and for the client. Coaches are required to recertify every 3 years. What drew me to the coaching is that it's not really spending a lot of time on what's broken. It's helping the client discover for themselves and bring their own insights and new thinking to existing circumstances. It's encouraging people to be their whole authentic selves, because then someone operating from that true self can have the capacity to face any issues and be aligned with who they want to be. And that relates to our eating as well. And then this coming winter, because I love education, so 2024, 2025, this winter, I'll be taking training to become certified as an EMDR therapist as well. So for those who don't know, that stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. There's a book that has actually riffed on the title and called it Every Memory Deserves Respect,
Oh, wow. I
EMDR.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a mental health treatment technique that involves moving your eyes in a certain way or tapping each side of your body, providing bilateral stimulation while you process traumatic memories. The goal is to help you heal from the trauma or other distressing life experiences. I wanted this training because when I work with clients, we sometimes are bumping up against trauma or those distressing life experiences that may be holding people back. I wanted to be able to offer evidence-based support in that area. I value the continuing education, and I'm part of several communities of practice with other social workers and psychotherapists and coaches. For me personally, I also see someone regularly to help me continue to be very self-aware and growing.
You've studied the food addiction angle and you also have the therapy angle. Tell us what kind of services you provide, because it's obviously more than just food addiction coaching.
I offer one-on-one services to clients. We meet one-on-one together, different session lengths, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. I discuss with people how many sessions are going to work best for them. We book those at a time that fits with their preferences and their schedules. I put them in the driver's seat with how often we meet and for how long. That helps us to both know where we're going. It allows me to check in with them to make sure that we're making progress. That's progress according to them, not necessarily according to me. I do all these sessions online, and I find that helps people to have a session wherever they feel comfortable, in their home or a private room from work, or sometimes in the car, to help make it really accessible to them. I do want to take a minute to explain coaching versus therapy,
Yeah,
because I
great.
do both. Coaching, the way I see it, it focuses on helping clients achieve their specific goals by building future-oriented skills and strategies, while therapy delves into past experiences and healing emotional wounds and addressing mental health issues. Coaching is action-oriented. It's generally involving personal development, and therapy is often emphasizing healing and understanding of what has happened. During our sessions, I use coaching to help people uncover what they're truly wanting and creating their goals and their plans to get there. But I might also use therapy if it's appropriate and if you're in the province of Ontario, which is where I'm registered as a social worker to be able to provide those services. And regardless of which one I'm using, my aim is really just to create this long-term transformation for people rather than just trying to solve immediate problems.
Does that mean that if somebody is in Ontario, that they would be covered by insurance because you have the social work qualification?
Yeah, sometimes insurers are looking for registered social workers and sometimes for masters of social work, and I have both of those.
Wow.
If you're in Ontario that has a benefits plan that covers those things, then our sessions can often be covered that way.
What are some of your strengths and unique contributions to the field?
Yeah, I was trying to think how to categorize things. So my unique contributions comes from one, working with people holistically, and two, this angle of the Enneagram and using that as a map forward, and then also just life experience. In the realm of holistic treatment, I really believe in treating the whole person. So you can't really solve a problem like ultra-processed food addiction, sugar addiction, emotional eating, disordered eating by only looking at food and eating habits, right? That focus is quite narrow and it might miss the context in which we eat and the why we go to food. I will work with people on the food, definitely. I also work with them at the root. And then with the Enneagram, it's such an amazing tool and a framework for understanding ourselves and our paths forward. It helps us tap into how we're wired and why we see things the way we do, and then the patterns of behavior where we get stuck. There have been so many light bulb moments when I work with clients. There's so much self-work we could all do, but the Enneagram gives this roadmap as to which things are going to be important for which numbers and which types. With life experience, I often say to people when I'm working with them on the food issues, there will be no shame in telling me about the things that you've done in relation to food because I've probably done it too. Everything from the secret eating, the hiding the garbage, the paying with cash instead of credit cards so we don't leave an audit trail, all of those things that they can sound really shameful when we bring them forward, but I get it. I really do understand those things. And having worked in different sectors, I've been an employer, I've been an employee, I've managed in public health, and I'm now a company owner. And so I understand a lot of different cultures and pressures that come from work, which is often a big part of people's lives. And sometimes those pressures are why we go to the food. And parenting. Being a parent to kids who are now just about into adulthood also brings a lot of experience with it too. So I understand these stresses of all the different parenting stages up until this point. I often say your kids are these wonderful beings that make it pretty obvious where you need to do your own work. They will point those things out for you. So it's not that I've experienced everything that my clients have experienced, but I do think that sometimes having a taste of what these different things are like, it keeps me very grounded and real with my clients.
What about people who have a dual diagnosis, anxiety, depression, ADHD? What do you do in those circumstances?
When they come to me with a diagnosis, we can take what they know about those things. I'm not going to get involved in medications or anything like that. That is not my lane. I will be working with what they know of themselves and of these diagnoses to be able to support them on their way forward.
And I would assume that you will refer out if you feel it's necessary.
100%.
If somebody comes in and says, "Hey, look, I'm on Ozempic," are you going to give me a hard time about that? How do you work with that?
I believe that everybody's making the best choice that they can with what the information that they have at the time. I was just working with someone today, not Ozempic, for example, but she was saying, hey, I do want to lose weight. And she had experienced a lot of shame in working with eating disorder therapists where she was feeling like that was not an okay goal to try and lose weight.
Right.
I said, okay, that's your goal. I'm going to accept that as a goal. And perhaps we hold that goal loosely and see where we can go. I would never guarantee that we can help you lose weight, but we're going to look at the mindset around that and what that's doing for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So same with Ozempic. If someone has chosen to be on Ozempic, I'm assuming that they made the best choice that they could with what they had. I would invite them to self-reflect. Is this working for me? How will I know if it's no longer working for me? How will I go about making changes if I wanted to?
Yeah. Well, how do you work with support systems like 12-step or family?
I definitely encourage. One of the first questions I ask people is, what are your supports? Where do you go for support? Who understands what you're going through besides me, right? I don't want to be someone's sole support. I invite them to get plugged into various communities. If 12-step is not their thing, there are other communities. You want to be able to find community support for what you're doing, other people who get it, who understand what you're doing. And oftentimes it can be very isolating for people when they don't have anyone in their lives or in their household who understands. All the more important then to plug into a community.
You did mention this earlier. What are ways that you manage to stay in the field? It's hard work working in the front lines. How do you manage to stay grounded?
That's an excellent question, Vera. Having my own supports, making sure that I go to see someone regularly really helps. Knowing where I get plugged in for support also helps. So I need to also be a member of a tribe, a community who gets it and understands it, somewhere where I can bring my full self to talk freely about what's going on for me. In terms of continuing education, I always want to be a part of a community of practice with other professionals who understand this work, that we can ask questions of each other, find resources, and be able to best support our clients.
Is there anything else that you would like to say about your practice?
I would just say that I like to put people in the driver's seat. I'm not very prescriptive, so I might use some psychoeducation with people, but aside from that, I truly believe that what each person needs is somewhere inside of them. I see myself as a partner that's going to help unlock that for them and help shed light on what might be hidden for them. Sometimes those things are hidden in plain sight. For example, if someone's wanting to give up ultra-processed food, or they want to change their eating habits, or they want to lose weight, I might ask them something like, hey, what experiences are you hoping to have with the food? Or what experiences are you hoping to have without eating issues? What experience are you hoping to have without extra weight? This is going to really help us tap into their vision and their truth instead of buying into what worked for someone else or buying into something that someone else says is important for them. I like to work from this place of empowerment. I find it such an honor that people invite me into their journeys.
Okay, good. So if somebody decides, hey, I want to go for this, how can they find out more about you?
Yeah, so my company is Simplicated Therapy and Coaching, and I have a couple of web pages that will get you there. So that's probably the best way is to have a look on my website and see what's there, and then you can reach out that way.
All right, last words to leave the listener.
I just want to thank you so much, Vera, for inviting me to be a part of this. I think that the work that you're doing, what I've seen, you work very tirelessly on this topic of food addiction, and you give so much of your time and energy to helping people in your Facebook community and beyond. And I think it's wonderful that you promote all different kinds of support because I believe that everyone needs something slightly different and maybe different for different parts of their own journey. So I hope that these videos that you're doing go a long way in helping people to know that there is a lot of support out there and hopefully they can find something that fits well for them at this time.
I'm delighted to offer you to be part of that picture because I think that you're a great contribution.
Thank you, Vera.
Sugar is the enemy, corrupting the minds of the teens, expelling you not to foresee. Your body's your temple, your mind is your key to a life tapped into happiness. Have it, don't dream it. If only you could see it.